Good evening, fellow Plex servers. This video goes out to Maurice from the Plexaholics Facebook group. And I'm kind of tired tonight, but I wanted to knock this video out. Maurice is a new Plex user, and he's got a couple HDhomerun tuners, and he has a Synology DS7 18 Plus NAS. It's a tube-based Synology NAS that's expandable with one expansion unit, DX517, and it has the same Celeron processor as my first Synology DS1019 NAS. So mine was a year newer, but used the same Celeron CPU, and that model CPU has the Intel HD Graphics 500i GPU in it. It isn't a UHD graphics iGPU, but it can transcode some 4K streams actually quite reasonably. So it's a decent little Plex server. The 920 plus model, the 2020 plus models, like the 920 plus, the 720 plus, the 1520 plus that I have, the brand new 224 plus or last year model 423 plus, all use that 9th gen Celeron processor that's a step up from what my first NAS or what Maurice's NAS has. And they make really decent little Plex servers, and the slightly older one is still pretty good. So Maurice is concerned about live TV and DVR. So when he said he can watch some TV shows, I assume he's talking about live TV shows with his HDhomerun tuner and not TV shows as a TV show library. But I'm going to help him with everything because he's brand new. So Maurice, the first thing is you've got to bookmark Plex's support articles. There are a lot of articles. It may seem overwhelming, but what you need to learn first of all is these 3 articles about naming movies and this article about naming TV shows. Plex has a naming convention, and these articles will tell you how to do it. It suggests basic structure. A media folder, which would be a shared media folder on your Synology NAS. A library folder for movies called Movies. You put your movie content in that folder. A library folder for music and TV shows, and naturally that type of content gets put in each library folder. And basically they give you examples on how to name shows, which I think I've skimmed right by because I'm tired. Maybe not. All right, I'm looking. Okay, here's a lot of examples. You basically pull the show name from TMDB, which will be just like this, or TV DB. Most shows don't have a year, so you simply add the year manually to the show folder name. You create a season folder called season space 01 or season space 02, and if you leave the O off, Plex will still scan it. You use the same proper show name as the first part of the episode name with a separator of a space dash space for the season episode coding like this, and the S and the E can be capitalized. Don't leave off the 0 for 01 though. Then again you have that space dash space, and it's optional to put the episode name in. You don't need that. And to be honest with you, some people just create the folder structure, the proper season folder, and they just throw files named like this. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, but it works. Anything that doesn't look like what Plex describes gives me the heebie-jeebies because I'm that friendly type A guy who quietly follows the rules because he realizes somebody wrote the rules for a certain purpose. Okay, so this is not going to be a naming guide, but just Plex has all these wonderful support articles, and I'm going to keyword search for DVR. And it takes me right there. There's a live TV and DVR section. Live TV comes for free. DVR DVR requires a Plex Pass, and you've got HD home run tuners that I already know are supported, and these are just the guides to read, and there's actually more articles too. So enough with this, research that on your own. I am going to bring up DSM on my older NAS. Now this is upgraded past the 7.2.2 version of DSM, which now has its own Plex install, which I assume you've used the right one based on your DSM version. So that's how much drive space I have here. And let's start out with the shared media folder. My recommendation is one shared media folder for all your Plex media. Keep all your folders lowercase without any spaces as a general Linux rule, which will help you be able to move the data in the Plex server to any other device running Linux or in a Docker container without issues. So inside my shared media folder, I happen to create a sort folder for every type of library folder. And I do that because that easily creates a nested structure. Well, I don't know what that folder is doing there. All right, so I do a lot of tutorial videos, and sometimes I move things around. So anyway, inside that TV sort folder, I have actual TV library folders. And this bit of wisdom may help you if you're going to build a Plex server and DVR. So I have a main TV folder example, and inside that we return to normal case, and these titles are pulled from TVDB with a year inserted manually, and this happens to be all public domain episodes. If I go into that folder, you'll see the season 1, and you'll see the same thing, the proper show folder, the space dash space, season episode coding, and then the episode name, and I added media characteristics. You'll see that in the highlight that's popping up. You see 360p DIVX and other information in brackets. Well, the support article I had you at for TV naming shows that you put things in brackets that you want to hide from the scanner. So structure is important. Now let's return to the sort folder level. Maybe your library grows where you want to keep little kid TV content separate from your main content. Maybe you're a fan of anime and you want that separate. You might have one or two friends that love that too, but then other friends that don't want that content, and being in a separate library, the friends who don't want that content can unpin it, or you don't have to share that library with them, and the friends that love that content not only pin it, but they'll bring it to the top of their list on their Plex client apps. So you get a lot of flexibility, but it also gives you the ability to create a folder for anything you might want to DVR. Because the assumption is you're ripping your own Blu-ray or DVD disc for content, or you're getting content that fell off the back of a truck, and none of that content has commercials in it. So putting your DVR material in a separate library will segregate your commercial or your content with commercials from your content that doesn't have commercials. Now let's see what we have in here. Let's delete whatever this test is from. So we'll start fresh. So that's a little primer on folder content. Now remember, one shared media folder, no uppercase letters, no spaces. If you like the idea of sort folders, I've named these to make them apparent they're a little bit different. You know, movie-libraries, music-libraries, and it's not really often you're going to have multiple music libraries, so you could just name this one music, then put all your artist folders inside that. Other would be other videos, you know, home movies, that sort of stuff. Photo libraries, it allows you to have multiple folders in there. You know, you could have a Christmas 2023 and a Christmas 2022, and you can point a Christmas photo library at those individual years, at the multiple years. You could have summer vacation folders, and have different photo libraries pointing at the correct media. And here's my TV library, and there's the main. So that's the basic folder structure. Now on this, in my newer NAS, I run test Plex servers. My media is on the newer NAS, but I run Plex on a fast little NUC with a special version of Unraid. So right now on this test setup, or this test server, I have one running. And we'll go to containers. You see that Portainer's running and Plex is running. Now I created this Plex container with Portainer, but I can stop it because I want to spin up a package container to be similar to what you're running on your DS718 Plus. So it depends, for a fresh install, it depends what your DSM version is, because Synology just had an update not too long ago that disabled Video Station, and they basically told their users, we're not going to support things anymore because you have the option of using Plex, MB, or Jellyfin. We're not going to continue to support a video project. Go serve your media up with one of those Plex servers. That's the long and the short of it. So when you go to download the package for Synology NAS, they have one specific for DSM-6. And then the upgraded DSM-7 caused a lot of DSM-6 Plex server owners trouble if they didn't prep for it. The update to the 7.2.2 package didn't really cause trouble, besides Plex wouldn't start after the update, and all you had to do was reinstall this new package over the top. So Maurice, that's one question I didn't ask, which version of DSM you're running. So you have to download the appropriate package, which means for a fresh install, I have to download this one. And when you get that far, you choose the package, you choose the Intel AMD 64-bit because you're running an Intel Celeron processor. So I don't want this to go to my download folders. Let me throw it in where I keep my Linux ISO files, and those are really Linux ISO files. So this is the install name. It's downloading. I can get rid of this. So let me go to the package center and click on installed. I have an update to do, but I have a backup running from my new NAS to this NAS right now, so I can't update either of these NASs while that backup's running. I need to wait until it's complete. This is just a test server. I'm going to uninstall it. And I'm going to uninstall only because I think that's all I need to do in order to show an install dialog box that pops up that shows us how to set permissions for Plex server to see our media. And I can't remember exactly if it's the same steps under DSM-6 as it is under DSM-7 or 7.2.2.2. I don't know, is there 2 2s in there or 3? I can't remember, and again, I'm tired. So I'll uninstall that package, but it's not unclaiming the server or getting rid of the data. So whatever I had set up will stay set up. So let's go to manual install, select a file. I'll go to home. It's with all these Linux ISOs, and you can tell I've used elementary OS since the 0.2 release. It was my favorite distro, now it's Pop OS. So I'll select this, and yes, I ramble at times. I'll choose next, and I'm basically reinstalling over the top of a previous test install. And again, I got a full backup going on. Let me get this open off screen. Otherwise, I'll give away my admin name that's part of my quick sync ID when it first starts up. Well, Maurice, usually things aren't slow like this. I don't know what's taking so long unless my backup is preventing this from operating smoothly. Oh, I browsed the wrong file, like a dope. A dope slap for me. Okay, now I have the right file. I was trying to load an ISO as a package. I believe in dope slaps, especially when they're self-administered. Okay, so it's telling you this is provided by a third-party developer, which is Plex, so you agree to it. Now, if I knew my Plex claim token, I could add it here, but I don't think I'll have to claim this server because it's a reinstall, but claiming a server isn't hard, and I've done videos on that. You can search my YouTube channel for claim server and you'll find 2 different videos. So I'll just hit next. I'm not going to run after installation. I'll start it up manually. Okay, so this is the screenshot that I want you to grab, even from my video. Pause the video, or I'm just going to leave it on the screen for a bit while I talk, because sometimes if you pause it, it's not a nice screenshot to take. Grab this, blow it up, save it, do whatever you need to do, because this instructs us how to give our shared media folder or shared media folders permissions to be viewed by the Plex server. But again, I recommend one shared media folder. If you don't have that now, you're new, rearrange things so you do. Use my nested folder structure. It's great for the future. Even if you don't need the future that I think you might go to, set it up that way. So you open Control Panel and select Shared Folders. You select the share that contains your media. You click at it. You go to the Permissions tab. And then you change the drop-down menu from local users to system internal users. I'm going to show you this, but I have to be cagey. Before I get to this screen that shows the local users, I'm going to bring the window off screen to my second monitor, because this page will show my admin name, which I don't really want to show. And I don't want to have to edit the video to block that out once I'm done making it. I'm not a pro YouTuber. Get the information out, try not to talk too much, and that's me. So you change the local user to system internal user, and then you check read write for this Plex Media Server user. And if you have another shared folder that you want Plex to have access to, you do the same thing again. So you save, and then you keep saying yes or confirm your way out of the dialog box. And I think you do have to have your admin username and password handy to confirm it at some point. So that's how you give permissions. And when you're at this level, you do have to make it read write in order for the DVR to be able to record. You could set Plex up to read only, but the DVR won't write to the disk if you do read only, so it must be read write. So that's the setup. Plex is installed, let's run it. Now what I'm going to do is bring in my web app. My regular server's being accessed by some friends and family right now, and I have multiple servers that are always running. So this one was the Docker container that was running. I was booted into Ubuntu on this desktop computer earlier, where I'm fooling around with a bare metal Docker container install with Plex installed after Portainer was installed in a Docker container. Just fooling around. It was hell to get Docker installed under Ubuntu, but I want to try it 2 or 3 more times to see if I can come up with foolproof instructions that work each and every time for someone choosing to run Ubuntu 24.04. All right, so I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so now I've got a green on this old existing server, which I named previously Walker 63 DS1019 Plus package. So I did not have to go through the process of reclaiming this server. And really, I only uninstalled it to show that one permission pop up. So now we're going to walk through the steps of supplying permissions. So in File Station, you go to your shared media, and if you don't have one shared media folder for your Plex media, you create that beforehand. And if you need help there, I can do another quick video on that. You do not want to put your media into the Plex Media Server install folder. That's why it has this warning. Please do not place any media files here. So whatever your shared folder is named, what do? We go to Tools, nope, Action Settings. You know what? I don't even remember what that said now. And I don't know if it's File Station I want to use. I think I want to go to Control Panel, wherever the heck it is. Oh, somehow it got put in this group. I'll fix that later. Go into Control Panel, then you go into Shared Folders. Then you highlight the shared folder and you hit Edit. And I'm going to take it off screen just for a second. Okay, so I can bring it back on screen. When you hit Edit, this is what you see. Now I'm going to click Permissions, but that's where I have to take it off screen, because permissions is going to show my admin username. So I'll change the local users to system internal users and bring it back on screen. So this just said local users, and you drop it down here to change to system internal users. And you have read and write checked for the Plex Media Server system internal user. And remember, we're adjusting permissions for the folder named Media up here. And then you simply save. And I'm going to take it off screen again. I'm clicking Save. And because I had no changes made, I go right back to this. So if this is the first time you've done this, Maurice, you may have to use your admin name and password, so have that ready. And just keep confirming your way back until you see this. You've just given yourself permission for Plex to read and write to any media in this folder. That will let you add media, and Plex will be able to scan it in. So I don't need DSM any longer. This is my older NAS with the setup I've described. Here's that shared media folder, and this is just the file manager in my Linux OS. And I'm going to set DVR up and point the DVR at this actual library folder inside this library sort folder, which is inside my shared media folder. And if you need to, pause the video, write down your shared media folder, write down whatever you've named your sort folder if you're going with my convention, or this might just be your TV DVR. I could have multiple movie libraries at this level with multiple TV show libraries, with my music library and multiple other video libraries and multiple photo libraries. If you have a lot of libraries, the shared folder becomes crowded, and that's called a flat structure. It's less crowded in this nested folder structure. So just sort folders in the shared media folder, and in the TV library sort folder are the TV show libraries. I guess I'm trying to sell this too hard, aren't I? All right, so let's go to this server. If I drop down to libraries, I've got these three libraries. Let me get rid of the TV show library and show you how to add two libraries. Your default TV show library where you have your permanent media in, and then I'll add a library, TV library just for DVR. Add a library, click TV shows. I'll name this one's main, just so it looks kind of like my folder structure. Now I'll point it at my actual structure. So on the Synology NAS, you're going to look in Volume 1, and then you'll scroll down and find your shared media folder. And now I click into my sort folder for TV libraries, and I'm pointing to the main library folder. And when you see your shows, you stop. I'll click Add. Now this is extra credit. The source ID for Plex's TV show libraries are either TMDB or TV DB. I get into too much info, but TMDB is very, very strict. For episodes to be listed there, they had to have actually aired on TV. TVDB is less restrictive. So if you rip a Blu-ray or DVD and that has special features on it, unless one of those special features was actually aired on network TV with that show at some point, it probably won't be a special under the TMDB entry. TVDB is less restrictive. If there's a special, or if there's an extra that makes a good special on the DVD or Blu-ray disc, you got a good chance that it'll be an extra in the special seasons folder in the TVDB listing. They also do some neat things like create virtual series out of old movie short content, like the Looney Tunes movie or TV show collection. They're all the cartoon shorts dating back to 1929. If there were Warner Brothers cartoons of the Looney Tune characters playing before a movie during World War II, well, that cartoon is included as a special 1942 season with the entry at TVDB, so you can take thousands of Looney Tune movie shorts and organize them under a virtual TV series at TVDB. And TMDB just says, tough luck, buddy. That movie short never was broadcast on TV, so it can't be a TV show episode. So I name exclusively to TVDB for those reasons and a few others. So under the advanced settings, I change away from the default episode ordering of the movie database, and I just set it for TVDB, which I'm going to do here. And that's worth the explanation. If you're a brand new Plex server owner, name to TVDB, because down the road it'll be more consequential for you. You'll have less problems trying to figure things out than just using the more restrictive TMDB database. All right, so I'll add the library for a DVR library. Now I'll be pointing at empty structure. So volume 1 again, my media shared folder, my TV library sort folder, and the TV-DVR folder structure. Nothing's in there right now. Again, the advanced settings. I'm not sure of the consequence of this with DVRing, but it's whether you use the movie database or the TV database, it's not going to make a difference, because anything you can record was actually on TV anyway. So even the more restrictive, the movie database will work. So let me leave that there. And that, in my consideration, is a special case. Any other TV show library would pull the aired ordering from TVDB. Okay, so if I click on this, you'll see that it's scanning the shows in, and under the activity for this server, it's detecting intros and end credits. Okay, so we've gotten that far. Now let's add one of my HDhomerun tuners. And again, it takes a Plex pass to DVR, but not to live view from supported tuners. So under the settings, and excuse me, I have to hit the cough button. And I'm back. So under the settings, you can drop down to live TV and DVR. You get this little welcome screen. Let me make it full screen. You set up a Plex tuner. Now, I also have a 4K Flex, and I have an older Extend. You got to know right off the bat that if you have any next-gen TV stations that you can scan in that are not under DRM, you're not able to add them to Plex. Plex has still not enabled the ATSC 3.0 next-gen channels, even though your tuner is capable of it. I was going to save this to the end, but I use Channels DVR alongside Plex because it's a superior DVR product. It's $8 a month or $80 a year. Where Plex works, kind of works. Channels DVR just works every single time. I love their non-destructive commercial detection and skip. I just can't say enough about that. But Plex is fine as a DVR. Channels DVR is just better. So you'll see this tuner is finding 58 channels and this one 52. Let me do the 4K Flex to demonstrate. Oh, and I need to quickly look up the zip code of Canastota, New York. I have an Antennas Direct a DB8E antenna, which has two different stacks that can be aimed in different directions. I'm on the west side in a suburb of Syracuse, New York. My local stations aren't too far from me. They're mostly all, what are they, southeast a little bit. And I'm between 15 and 25 miles from all the towers. Well, my dual stacked antenna can also pick up the towers in the Utica market, two different farms close together. I think it's 56 and 60 miles away. With a right preamplifier that has enough gain to grab those stations and not to increase the signal too much on a couple of my strong stations, I bring in both markets. But unless I put in an in-between zip code, I don't get guide data. So if you look on a map, you'll see Canastota is a good place in between. Okay, so I want to use the zip code of 13032. Thank you, Google. And thank you, my fat fingers, for not screwing up too much with my phone. All right, so I'm choosing antenna, country, US, my zip code, next. All right, so you see how it automatically has picked the Utica channels for this market. Now 3.1 is NBC on a Syracuse, and here's NBC on a Utica. I'm going to turn off some of these to make scanning faster. So like, I don't know if that's a good channel. ABC on a Utica and their sub-channels. I'm going to turn off all this junk. My local PBS and the sub-channels. Fox out of Utica, I'll leave that on. I'll get rid of all this stuff. I'll leave Me Tunes on there. This is new. The last I looked at DVR, it wasn't there. And Howie, where am I? I'm at the 34-minute mark. I'm going to write a note so I can tell you to watch this video at this section. What is it? Me Tunes. Howie's a friend from YouTube. He likes my videos, and he's been asking when his guide would show his new Me Tunes channel where he lives. So I haven't forgot about you, Howie. All right, let me turn off this stuff. It'll just make scanning faster when we get there. Okay, there's my Fox and sub channel, and here you see the next gen channels, but there's no guide information from Plex. So the HDhomerun tuner can tune them. Channels DVR can tune them or record, but Plex can't. And they actually record at a smaller file size than the old standard because they have better compression built into them. So there's a good benefit from that if you can record them. I'll hit next, and it's going to build the guide. That'll take a little while. So we're downloading EPG data, and I'm going to pause the video. This might take 10 or 15 minutes or even longer. So what we'll do is I'll pause the video multiple times tonight. With the guide data building, I'll show you how to record Maurice, and I'll set up a half-hour show, and depending where we are, like if I can get to it by a little before 11, I'll set a half-hour show to record, or maybe I'll start a partial recording that ends at 11 o'clock if we get that far, just to show you how it works. So I'll be back. I'm going to let this run for a while. And we're back. I've been monitoring this from another instance of the web app so I could watch the guide refresh progress here, because I've left this on the same page and it didn't tell me how close we were to finishing. So maybe if I can think of enough things to talk about, I won't have to cut the video again. And even with the channels I took out of the guide, this is still downloading 7,100 earrings for this. All right, I guess I don't have enough things to say. Just note that it's almost done, and I'll be back very, well, maybe I shouldn't leave. I don't see that little space anymore. Okay, so it just finished. I can get rid of this web instance, and we're back here, and I can go and view the guide. So of course this will be a little bit different on a client app than it will the web page. But you see, if I wanted to record this program, I'd simply record it. So we've got less than 10 minutes left before 11 o'clock. So let me just record this. Something simple like Hogan's Heroes. I'll hit the record button, and I get to pick the library to record to. And I'll pick that DVR, and I'm going to pick just this episode and not all episodes. Let me do 2 shows. Let me find something else to record. Let me do that 70s show that's almost over 2. And again, I can choose a different library if I want to, but let's use the DVR library I made again. Oh, and there's advanced options. You can prefer HD or HD only. You can replace lower resolution items when a better one comes. This is checked by default, allow partial earrings. And you can actually have it start so many minutes before and have it run so many minutes after. And this is an important thing to talk about. If you had a 2-tuner HDhomerun device and you wanted to record 2 shows on at the same time and then 2 more shows on at the same time immediately following those first 2 shows, you can't run the first broadcast late and the second broadcast early, because that would require more tuners than you actually have. So kind of think about that. Think about the time slots you're recording in it. If you had only 2 tuners and you wanted to record 1 show plus the one starting right after, and each overlap the other, that's actually 2 tuners to do that, even though it looks like it's 1 channel in sequence. So that's kind of like a little mind screwing that you have to think about that makes these possibly dangerous, where you could run out of tuners. All right, so you can limit to only this time slot. And, you know, I've never used this with commercials, so I'm going to, I'm going to detect commercials and mark for skip and click record. Now these sub-channels might be different than what you'd experience with a network channel. Sometimes they run a little long, like it might be 9:01 when the episode actually ends and 9:02 when the next one begins. So I don't actually do a lot of DVRing. I do a little bit in channels DVR. I just like that better. So what can we talk about? Oh, so the guide on your client app is now unified under Live TV. So that's going to show your tuner plus the free stuff that Plex supplies to everyone. So you may not have had this pinned on your home screen of your client app, so you'd have to go find it. You'd have to go down to More, go find it, hit the three dots, pin it, and then once it's pinned, you could reorder it and bring it up to the top. So you see libraries from my main server, and you see libraries from my test server running in a Docker container on the newer NAS. And I click More, but I'm sharing my libraries with a friend who's sharing his libraries back, and I don't want to give away his username. All right, so what else can I show you? So I could have multiple tuners set up with multiple Plex servers, and I could switch between them with either this, or maybe there'd be a drop down here if I had multiple ones. What else can I show you? Here's a DVR schedule. And again, I'm tired and I'm running out of ideas, and we're almost to the end of this video. So I'm going to pause it again, and I'm going to give it maybe 15 minutes just in case it takes a while to detect a few commercials. And I'll come back and we'll wrap this video up. And what I'll do is, when I come back, I'll quickly switch to the HTPC client app, which is a premier client app for your desktop or laptop computer. And there's a install version for Linux through a Flatpak app on a Mac or under Windows. So you're seeing my main server here, and I would go down. Well, again, I want to be careful, so I'll do this off screen. I'll switch to this new little server I've created. I don't want to show my friend's username. So when I come back, we'll also use this app to play back that media, to access that media. Okay, where'd Plex go? All right. I'll be back when it's ready. Okay, I'm back. It's 21 after 11. There's been 21 minutes for those shows to process. So, where are we? Let me show you the raw data first. So 2 show folders were created with a year. The season folder was created, and then the episode folder was created in the TS video format. And because it was a 480p TV show and only about 9 or 10 minutes recorded, it's a fairly small file at 121.1 megabits. So we'll go into this, and it's an even smaller file because we started that one a little later. So while I'm here, let's talk about channels DVR. So you see this TS format. Let me open this up in a new tab, and let's browse to my newer Synology NAS and the shared folder I am using for channels DVR. Into the TV folder, let's go with this. It's a recent recording, and you'll see that it's using an MPEG. And this is how Channels names it. Now, it's just enough Plex compliant that you could point a Plex library at this TV folder as a separate Plex TV show library folder. So if you wanted to use Channels DVR, which is a better DVR system, on the side of Plex, you could point libraries at it if it's installed in the same NAS or same machine, and then share those recorded files with friends and family. They couldn't watch live through Channels DVR, but they could watch the recording. So that's just an option, and I wanted to show the file structure. So instead of using the web app, I've reconfigured the Plex HTPC client app on my Linux desktop so that it opens up in this test server. So I can go down to the TV show DVR library, switch to library mode, and go into the Hogan Heroes. We see that it's season 3, and we have a episode recorded that's only 10 minutes long. I don't want to get a YouTube copyright strike, so I'm not going to show much of anything. And I have season 8 is this one episode of that 70s show, and we'll do the same thing. We'll start it and pause it. Now, I did look manually at the file, the TS file, and I skimmed along. I don't see anything where the commercials have been cut out, but maybe Plex does that as a scheduled task later on when things aren't busy. So I'll update the description of this video on YouTube if I find that out tomorrow. And to be honest, I don't know why I have 2 entries for the same episode. Unless the commercial detection is going on right now and Plex is picking up that new version before it's finished writing. So that's something else I'll check tomorrow to see if one of these show posters disappears to just leave the other one. And why they'd have 2 different posters, I don't know. But Maurice, so that took you through most of it. It shows you how to set up permissions on your Synology NAS in order to access the shared folder you're going to be using with your regular content and the library you create for DVR. Now, I didn't talk about this, so I might as well cover it quickly now. Let's go back to this structure. So I created a TV-DVR library in the TV sort folder. If you're going to record movies, you might want to do a movie-DVR library under this nested structure too to point movies here. Depending on where you're recording the movie from, that's probably going to have commercials in it too, and you might not want to mix that content in with your main movie library. So if you have any problems, let me know. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. I know it's very long, we're approaching 50 minutes, but there's a lot I wanted to cover with you from the permission side, from library structure side of the Synology NAS, to how to set up a TV show library with the pitfalls of the movie database versus what I think is a better option, the TV DB database, to actually setting the tuners up and recording a few things. And I really have to be careful with what type of media I show on YouTube so I don't receive a copyright strike, which is why with my test servers, I have a lot of public domain media loaded that I can actually show playing. So, thanks Maurice, and everybody else, thanks for watching if you stuck around this long, and happy Plexing.